Hey everyone, welcome to Chick and Dude and Stuff.
It is not and stuff.
I almost had it right.
He never gets it right.
I almost have it right.
It's Chicken Dude stuff.
Stuff.
No ant.
Yeah, well, to me there's an and in there. But anyway.
Matt and Buffy Payne are a couple driven by purpose through their nonprofit Outer Circle Foundation and faith-based organizations like Few and Dudes. Their mission is clear: to spark positive change, empower others, and build a better world, one connection at a time. She is Chick. He is Dude. Welcome to the Chicken Dude Stuff podcast.
So, welcome everybody. Today we have the very big honor to have Todd Kemp with us on the show today. Todd's been a very good friend over the years and someone that we are so happy to have met.
We are.
Years ago, I think, right? It's been three, four?
It's been quite a few now.
Absolutely. It's been totally awesome. And the pleasure is also mine on this end as well. So it's been truly a pleasure, honor to know you guys, to grow with you guys, and to be a part of everything that we do, to hang out and try and help support our fellow veterans and first responders. So I love you guys, and it's an honor to be here with you guys today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Todd. You're so warm and fuzzy for a Monday.
I've had a couple of cups of coffee, so I think we're good.
Okay, excellent.
So Todd, give everybody a background, kind of run them through your story, and we'll dive into some of the other stuff, but just like high level kind of overview stuff.
Okay, my story. So there I was, minding my own business, like I always do. Now, retired Air Force, did 23 fun-filled years, doing all kinds of cool stuff, starting off doing crypto and encryption systems, went into the command post battle staff. Wound up going over into base ops flight operations, deployed to Iraq doing intel surveillance and recon, wound up retiring out of the Air Force. I had one of my troops that unfortunately made the ultimate sacrifice as a combat medic, and as a result, I wound up becoming a paramedic, honoring his legacy, and then took a little break from working EMS, started my own consulting firm, and, that's how I wound up running into you guys, doing our C-Suite for Christ initial meet when we first met there. And then since then, we've just been hanging out and doing all kinds of things we can to provide, help and support for our veterans and first responders. And the journey is still going, and it's an awesome journey to be with you guys. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. So, come from a military family, kind of, where did that come in? How did you go from figuring out you wanted to be in the military?
Actually, it was, ironically enough, I wasn't doing so hot in college. When I first graduated high school, I was managing a Domino's Pizza, still living at home with mom and dad, trying to figure my way. And of course, Dad, I'm going to date myself now. Dad had been working with Eastern Airlines for 30 some odd plus years, and got to the point to where, Eastern went out of business, and any help I had for trying to go to college, which I wasn't doing that great at, I just wasn't applying myself. It was like, I got to do something different. So Dad was in the Navy, and I thought maybe, I'll go into the Navy and follow in his footsteps. Well, the manager I was working with at Domino's had gotten out of the Air Force and said, why don't you talk to an Air Force recruiter first? So we went down, talked to an Air Force recruiter, and one thing led to another. Took the ASVAB, did pretty well enough to go in, and next thing you know, it was like, yep, let's get out. So I saw my name on the dotted line, and off I went to the wild blue yonder.
Nice.
Awesome. And where all were you stationed?
Okay, so I joined right before Desert Storm kicked off. It finished boot camp. Desert Storm kicked off. By the time I finished my initial training in tech school, working on all the top secret cryptographic equipment systems and all that stuff, well, Desert Storm had just pretty much finished. So they sent me to Yongsan Army Post in Seoul, Korea. After there, I wound up in Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base inside the mountain at Colorado Springs. Wound up going into, transferred out and joined the Air National Guard. So I went part-time in the Air National Guard for a bit, was working for a combat comm unit in Savannah. Transferred into an F-15 unit, and that's when I cross-trained over into command post. And then they moved from flying F-15s to B-1 bombers, and that created a lot of full-time slots. So that's when I went back on active duty. doing command post operations and base ops flight operations, supporting B-1 bombers and then J-stars. And then, of course, with all the weird stuff we did, I wound up deploying to Iraq doing kind of a weird mission. It was kind of a combination of intel, surveillance, and recon. So the only way I could describe it would be as if you've seen the movie The Transformers, right? You know, the spec ops team is fighting that scorpion looking thing, and they do a phone patch back to some little ops center that's got multiple video feeds of different air assets and things going on, and they were able to track the guys down and provide them like real-time above ground support looking down. So that's kind of what I wound up doing in Iraq. So I had an intel analyst next to me, and I'm watching multiple different feeds of different air assets and talking to a battle captain on the hotline in the KOC, and we're working real-time support, providing, you know, real-world intel, surveillance, and recon to, you know, our special forces guys. So all, you know, Army Delta, Navy SEALs, MARSOC, you know, the Marine recon guys, and sometimes those guys that have like combat controllers and JTACs embedded with them, doing all kinds of cool stuff. But we were kind of providing real-time air asset support from above, what they were seeing on the ground, and did all that kind of cool stuff. So it was very interesting, to say the least, to do that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. And what's your big takeaway from the military? What did it teach you? What'd you leave with?
I think the biggest thing, you know, leaving the military, it was the love of the people, you know, because, you know, when we first joined back in the day, it was really all about you know, you took care of your people. If you took care of your people, they were going to take care of the mission no matter what. So the leadership traits, being involved with the teams, and just making sure everybody was right. They had what they needed to do their job. You trained them, you equipped them, and you didn't just treat them like they were, you know, a troop. You actually cared for these people. You know, you knew their families, you knew their wives, you knew their husbands, you knew their kids. You know, you really had that integrated team family concept, and you were there to take care of your people. And it was just amazing when everybody was taking care of each other. The mission got done. It didn't matter what the mission was. You found a way to get the mission done regardless. So it was always about taking care of your people.
Yep. And you mentioned about your troop, the medic, and how that kind of helped you form your next phase of life when you went out. You know, share anything that you want out of that experience. I know it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, that one definitely hurt. You know, because you know, that was when I was in the base ops flight, you know, airfield management, AOF. By then we were, you know, you're in charge of the whole different operation support squadron deal. So you had your base ops, you had your weather, you had the airfield management piece, you had all of that going on. And, you know, when you're still in an International Guard unit, you know, even though we were active duty, and by then we were combined with an active duty unit. So we were one of the first total force units out there when they combined J-stars and had an International Guard active duty squadrons all working side by side with each other, total force concept. His dad was in our communications squadron, and he had joined. So for him, it was a family legacy also. And we were standing up that weather unit, and he came in doing weather, graduated, you know, tech school from weather, which is not an easy school to do, but it was just kind of like, I guess he had an itch to serve, but weather wasn't his thing. So he transferred out into the Army and went from Air National Guard, part-time traditional guardsman as a weather forecast, to active duty Army through a blue to green program, became a combat medic. And he just felt like he needed to do something more to support others, and that's what he did. So he made it through Army training and combat medic. He got stationed at Fort Drum, and in 2011 he had deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan with his platoon doing his stuff. And in August, they were supporting a certain region up near Kandahar, Afghanistan that was, you know, trying to resist the Taliban regime. And they've been taking care of some of the civilian populace and providing cover for them. And they got into a brutal firefight one day, and it was rough. So he was doing what medics do. He was taking care of his fellow platoon mates, but he was also helping to render medical aid to some of the Afghan civilians that were helping out and had gotten injured. And they were loading up the Humvee to get back to the FOB. And when he climbed into the Humvee, his Humvee got hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. And at the very young age of 23 years old, he made the ultimate sacrifice serving his country, serving his teammates, and even serving Afghan civilians and strangers that he didn't even know. And it was hard, having served with his father in the unit for many years, and then him coming in and joining us, and then just seeing him die at such a young age. It leaves scars on you. We've talked about survivor's guilt and the pain of that, because when I was in Iraq, even though for the most part where we were operating out of, I was on the FOB, and I would like to say it was relatively safe, but we were getting mortared and shelled every single day, and there was a few of them that those indirect fires. Most of the time, you don't know. They're nuisance fires. You only knew that you were under fire because they would call the all clear, and it was like, oh, I didn't even know we were under attack. But then there'd be a few of them. Those bombs landed dangerously close, and then you realized, oh, this is for real, right? So it gets kind of tough when you had a couple of close calls and you make it out alive, and then, your troop, who was quite a few years younger than you, makes that ultimate sacrifice that leaves a scar on the heart. So when it was time to leave the military and retire and move on, it was like, well, what do I want to do with my life? And I just, kind of tired of the whole working for the government per se and the security clearance and all that. I was like, I wanted to do something totally different. And I just thought about what Mark had been doing as a combat medic. So I worked with the local EMS squadron down there, or I say squadron, EMS civilian guys off base, and just said, hey, would it be possible to come do a ride along one day to see what a day in the life is like really working in EMS as a paramedic? And they let me ride along, and I got the full dose reality, not what you see on TV, the Hollywood hype stuff, but the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. And it was like that one shift, and I was hooked. So when I retired, started terminal leave, 2 weeks later, I used my GI Bill and went 0 to hero. So I started my EMT schooling. A year later, I was graduated as an advanced EMT, got hired on working for the level 1 trauma center down there in Macon. Started paramedic school for another 15 months while I was working as an advanced EMT on the trucks, got my paramedic cert, and went on being a paramedic. And it was just, it was still the same concept. You're there to help take care of your people, just different concept, and not in a wartime tasking. Now you're on the streets helping your patients and taking care of people. And it just, it made a difference. And at the same time, I kind of feel like doing that helps to keep Mark's legacy and his name living on, because he did the same thing as a paramedic, taking care of his platoon mates and Afghanistan civilians, and, just something I'm grateful for, because it gave me a chance to continue to serve and in the same way honor his legacy and his sacrifice.
How long were you a paramedic?
I'm actually still a paramedic. So I did a little sabbatical after a couple of hard calls, but I went back in this year and got recertified, took my board. So I'm actually still a paramedic licensed, and I still work a little part-time job now providing paramedic support. So I work for the Metro Atlanta Ambulance Service as a part-time medic, and work out at the Atlanta Braves Stadium to, provide a little first aid if needed out there, and keeps the skill sets up, keeps the rust off, but it still allows me to serve, and I enjoy it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's a heart of service for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You want me to ask questions now? He's poking at me.
I do.
So Todd, you talked about your time in the military, and taking care of people, and they'll take care of the mission. They'll take care of you. If you could go to a group in the enrolling in the military now, regardless of branch of service, what advice would you give them from what you've learned and what you've experienced since you've come out of the military?
Some of the advice I think I would give them, especially while they're in the military and service, it's to continue that tradition of taking care of your people. Obviously we come from an older background, Gen X crowd, and we were raised a little different. And in a day and age, it seems like, we have all these different demographics from, how people are raised, what they've been given and stuff. A lot of things that seem to have shifted, and it's become more about do what feels good, do what feels right, go after it for yourself. And to an extent, you do have to take care of yourself. There is a balance there, but you still have to take care of your people. And you would still be amazed, especially in the military perspectives, because I've heard, some people that are still serving, it's mission first, mission first, mission. and people are exhausted and tired because cuts keep happening. You got to do even more with even less, and people are exhausted and tired. And it's like, it still goes back to the same thing. Take care of your people, because if you care about your people, you take care of them, you train them, equip them, and make them feel valued as a part of the team and do what needs to be done. They'll fall on the sword. They will do the mission. They will go to the world's end to make the mission get done, no matter what needs to be done. So I would still tell them the same thing. That's something that hasn't changed just because, the world may change, technology may change. We can do all kinds of cool stuff to make our lives easier. But at the end of the day, if you're not using it to better the lives of your teammates and your people, you're not going to succeed. It's still all about the people.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that's so insightful as the generations grow up with technology and less of the us on bicycles, morning, sun up to sundown, connecting with people humanly as opposed through technology. That's such a good message to remind folks to take care of their people. I think we see that even outside of the military, that companies, organizations, groups need to look inward and take care of their people.
You see it a lot, even, networking on LinkedIn and other stuff. I see a lot of commentary, and it's, the biggest thing is company culture and emotional intelligence, because we deal with a lot of people that, as younglings, they've gotten almost coddled a little bit to the point. So where's the balance when you've had everything handed to you on a silver platter? That doesn't necessarily mean it's taking care of you. Taking care of you still means you've got to be trained and equipped, but you've also got to be established. Here's standards and boundaries, and you still have to perform. You don't get a trophy just for showing up. You still have to do the job, and you still have to do the work. And the balance is, where do you find that balance of taking care of your people and at the same time holding people accountable to a standard that they can meet, and then show them that you value them and appreciate them for doing exactly that. So emotional intelligence has to come to a play to a point, but there's also that balance of you still have to take care of them and hold them accountable. And sometimes that means doing it with a little bit of a tough love, but people also have to realize receiving constructive feedback and being held to a standard, it's not mean, it's not hateful. It's an expectation and a requirement. Whether you're in a job that's about selling widgets and making money and profits for a company, whether you're a first responder in, police department, the law enforcement side, or a fire department or EMS, and people's lives are on the line and you have to still take care of them. The balance is still there. You still have to meet the standards of the job to do your stuff so you can take care of the others.
That's right. So you've recently jumped into the Outer Circle board because you couldn't get enough of us. And so you said, hey, I'm going to come over and play in the Outer Circle board.
Absolutely.
Share some of your experience with the Outer Circle that made you want to become part of our board and play in the sandbox more.
Because obviously, first of all, you guys practice what you preach, and you're not another veteran nonprofit or first responder nonprofit that's out there raising money, doing stuff, and you still don't get a chance to see, well, what are they really doing? It's like the movie Office Space, when the Bobs come in as a consultant and they're interviewing people for their jobs. What does it say you do here? You guys actually have tangible results on things that are being done to support and actually help veterans. There's been some other organizations I've tried to support and do research for, and it seems like they're always meeting, always fundraising, broadcasting on, LinkedIn, other social media. Hey, look at all the cool stuff that we're doing. But it seems like that's all they're doing is the vet bro hug, look at us selfies of what we're doing. But okay, where's the veterans or the first responders receiving help that we can actually see that you're doing what you say you're doing? Outer Circle has that, and I'm case in point. Obviously, some of the challenges I've had between, dealing with some of my survivor's guilt and the other stories that you guys know about, as far as my spiritual walk and God's supernatural intervention in stopping me from doing the unthinkable. you guys are big advocates on providing mental health services, right? And part of that includes the stellate ganglion block, which we know, you guys have talked about. And we know that being able to reset your sympathetic nervous system to calm yourself down so you're not physiologically in a perpetual state of reacting to things that you don't need to. And it helps you stay calm enough that then you can go get therapy and do those other things, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, prolonged exposure therapy, whatever it is you're talking to and working with your therapist on. But it makes that more effective because you're not physiologically stuck. And you guys have helped sponsor me with that, get me introduced with Dr. Lynch and even helping to cover one of my treatments. So it's, you guys have actions that speak louder than words. And that's one of the things that meant so much to me, is because the Outer Circle Foundation isn't just a nonprofit out there saying, look at us. You are actually tangibly making a difference in the lives of our veterans and our first responders. And for those that have worked hard to serve others and take care of people and make those sacrifices, and now they need help. And we all know that one of the first things that those of us that are in that servanthood mindset struggle with is asking for help. That's the hardest thing. It's me personally, and I'm guilty of it, and I'll be the first to admit it. I've always thought having to ask for help, man, I was weak. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't hack it. And if I have to say I need help, I'm not okay, then I'm a failure. I'm a weakling. I'm a wuss. But it's not. It's the ultimate sign of strength. And for those that, when you can get to that point to say, I'm not okay, will somebody please help me? That's what Outer Circle Foundation is there for. And you guys don't judge people. You don't do it. You jump in. How can we help you? What do you need? What can we do? Whether you help give some money to offset some bills, whether it's sponsorship because you've got anger management issues and you can't stop flying off the handle over stupid stuff, whether it's somebody cutting you off on the road or you trip over the dog or spill a cup of coffee, So, hey, sponsoring people to go see Dr. Lynch and get a stellate ganglion block, or getting him up off of some therapy, or those that feel so isolated because something else. Speaking from personal experience, and I know, Matt, we've discussed this about, if you haven't been where we're at and we have to explain it, you're not going to understand it. So that's just one of the mental mindsets between veterans and first responders. We relate to each other easier because they've been there, they've done it, they know, and we don't have to explain it. And we know that they're not judging us because they get it. And sometimes just providing a safe environment to be around fellow people like that, and not even necessarily doing therapy. I mean, it's like, the fishing charter you guys did a couple months ago, our golf outing coming up, just being able to go, hey, let's go take a day and hit the links and go chase some golf balls around the course and break bread afterwards. Just being in the presence of other veterans and first responders and just being able to be yourself and not be paranoid about, am I being judged? What do they think of me? Am I weak? Am I a wuss because I've had issues and all of that? It's just those core concepts of what the Outer Circle Foundation does to provide those outlets and those avenues to give veterans and first responders the resources they need to help do the support. And there's action there. There's true action there. That's why when you said, guys were like, hey, we're going to be opening up board of advisor opportunities, I'm like, I want to be a part of that because I know it's something, it's real and it's tangible and there's real results behind it. It's not another nonprofit up there just trying to rake up money that you see they do that and you never see the results of what the end is. There is real results. I'm one of them.
Yeah. Well,
so recently you have a new endeavor that you're embarking upon. Let's talk about that a little bit, and let's get everybody out there what you're doing, how to get a hold of you, what's happening, kind of fill them in on that.
Well, some of it I'm almost not sure I'm ready to discuss it yet because there's still some planning and strategic shifts going on. So right now, aside from also working as a part-time paramedic, I do some fractional program and project management for a software company. So having, been in the Air Force on the technical side and helped manage various program management projects and things of that nature, I do offer up contract compliance. So if you're in the government, contracting space with GovCon, needing help kind of going through federal acquisition regulations, defensive federal acquisition regulations, contracts, statement of work, compliance, things like that, negotiations. There's things I can provide support for that. That's part of what I do. There is something else I may be looking at doing in a pivot, but that one's still TBD. Not sure if I'm ready to disclose on that one just yet, but that may be another, hey, let's come back on another call and we'll talk about that when that happens. But yeah, it's just one of those deals for any veterans out there that are in the government GovCon space. And if you need some help trying to navigate how to get through that, work on some bid processing, I've got some connections that can help you go through your capability statements, get you submitted in on bids, going through sam.gov and all of that process. Also, if you need help on getting yourself rated as a service disabled veteran-owned small business or a veteran-owned small business, if you're a woman entrepreneur doing that as well, finding links to get in even some of the 8A Native American links. There's lots of companies out there that we can help connect you with. So we've got, if you're interested in the GovCon space, I've got some connections and experience that we could help you out with. And from the program management perspective, that's kind of what Kemp Endeavors Incorporated is about supporting.
Awesome.
Okay. How do they get you?
All right. Best way to hit me up would be you can reach out, either find me on LinkedIn on my profile, Todd Kemp, or you can hit me up on my cell phone, 678-238-6054. Those are probably your two best ways to do it.
So, as you look back and as you are, looking at both, you've done the military, you've done private industry stuff, you've done the paramedic stuff, you've done government contracting, right? We just had the opportunity to sit down with one of our very, very close friends whose 17-year-old is going through high school, kind of unsure of what to do and unsure of what avenue to take, and knows he likes a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but, unsure of what degree to get, what thing to do later in life. And it was funny because I looked at mom and dad and I was like, he's 17 years old. He doesn't need to know what he needs to do right now. And but a lot of colleges are requiring a identified major when they're getting ready to go into college. And, that's kind of crazy talk, when you look at it. But as you sit and you look at those young kids who are getting ready to go and live on their own and embark on that next career, what do you have to tell them? What have you learned throughout the years? What was passed down from your grandfather or your dad that still holds true today?
Well, ironically enough, of course, I was one of the first ones in our family line to actually go to college and work on degrees and do stuff. So from then it was always, work hard, put forth your best effort and go through that realm. I tend to share a lot of the same sentiment as you are because, bear in mind, my college journey started in 1988. So that was a minute or two ago, right? And even back then, they would tell you that the average student is going to change their major at least 5 times before, they figure out what it is they really want to do. Ideally, and having, being a father of 3 of my own and inheriting a bonus son that's a junior in high school and is going down that kind of same path. He's 16 years old, about to be 17 soon. And, same thing. What do you want to do? Where are you going? What do you have to declare? The only thing I'm going to say is this. If you have to, start off with a basic generalized, either go with I'm just going to do a liberal arts degree for the moment, or even just throw out general business just to have something on paper. Because your first couple of years in college, it's all the same core curriculum stuff anyway. And that's what you can kind of focus on: your English, your math, your social science, your humanities, all of the stuff that every degree almost requires you to have regardless. So your first year or so, you don't necessarily have to have your niche, and you don't have to have it figured out just because the colleges are trying to guide you that way. Because you can change your mind at any point in time. So focus on the core first. And then as you start getting around things and finding what interests you, then you can kind of start going, okay, now I want to change my major to this, and know that all of those classes you've already taken will still apply to your degree, right? And you don't have to worry about having wasted time or going back to take another specialty classes versus saying, I think I'm going to major in computer systems and information technology. So you start going down all these computer science classes, and then next thing you know, you witness a traumatic event or something, or decide, nope, now I want to go medical or pre-med, and you've wasted a year and a half of college by taking classes that are not going to have anything to do with your major, right? So my advice is, you're young, you don't have to have it figured out. Throw out some general studies concepts and just, you'll take your time to figure it out. And if you need to figure out who you are, you've got all these different self-assessment analyst things. You've got like the Myers-Briggs test and the DISC assessments and all of that you can kind of go, how do you communicate? What makes you tick? What do you like to do? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Are you better visually learner or an auditory learner? There's all kinds of things that you can do that, based upon how you're kind of internally wired, can gear you to say, people that tend to have these tendencies work well in this kind of career path in industries. Then maybe you can start leaning more towards, because I have a natural proclivity to be this way, now I can look that way. But you don't have to have it figured out right now. There's no rush. And don't let anybody tell you that you have to be in a rush, especially at the age of 17.
Right. What you pick now may not be what you want to do at all in 10 years.
I've known lots of people who got specialized degrees as graduates, got their bachelor's, started working within the first year, and then realized, I absolutely hate this industry. It's nothing like I wanted. And they had to go back to school, or they completely pivoted to go do something else that had absolutely nothing to do with their degree. I would even go so far to say, because I don't think this gets enough shout out, not everybody has to go to a 4-year college. There are a ton of career trades out there that you could go to a vocational school or a technical training school and be making good money within a couple of years. We need plumbers, we need HVAC, we need electricians, we need a lot of those, even more so because a lot of those trades got neglected, because even from our generation on, it was always go get your 4-year degree, go get your 4-year degree. And now all of the specialists and experts that own their own companies, guess what? They're all retiring, and we're about to really start hurting for people, because guess what? People are paid top dollar for at 8 o'clock at night when the floor is flooding. You can make good money as a plumber. HVAC went out in the summer months. I got news for you. You own your own HVAC company. You don't even have to be the one climbing in the attics to install the units. You get your certs, you get your training, you train up a couple of mentees, and then you can be making big bucks running a company, deploying other people to install that stuff, and still be very successful without having a specialized degree in basket weaving that you're paying student loans on. So there's lots of opportunities out there, and you don't have to let social media or society dictate to you what it is you want to be. Let's just go quote some old school Shakespeare from literature: "To thine own self be true."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's funny. One of the things I told them was, I have an undergrad and 2 master's degrees. Nobody has ever asked me, 1, where did I go to college? 2, what my GPA was, or 3, even what my degrees are in. They're just there, right? And at the end of the day, unless you're an engineer or an architect or a doctor or a lawyer, then maybe it gets into that. Anything else, do what you love and go get a degree and
be passionate.
Yeah, just be passionate.
That's the key right there. Find something that you love doing, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
It's very
just
true.
Make the world a better place.
Yeah. So Todd, we all have a mutual friend that we love and adore, and she's about to get married. And we understand that you are getting to officiate the wedding.
Maybe.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we are. So this person that we absolutely love and adore, and I absolutely love and adore her fiance. We've hit it off, and needless to say, I warned her. I said, "You realize if you introduce this guy to me, there is going to be corruption." And our favorite word amongst our group is shenanigans. And because I told him, if you let me shenan once, I will shenan again. Every day, the dad jokes and the memes are flying. And of course, they've met Carol, and there's times I've actually had to start a whole separate chat group because we may start throwing out the dad jokes and memes and blowing it up. And of course, my wife's over there just face palm, shaking her head, going, "What are you guys doing?" So yeah, but we are really excited about the future wedding of Whitney and Scott, and I was beyond blown away and honored when they asked me if I would be willing to officiate it. So it is my privilege and honor, and love them both to death, and cannot wait to get them blessed and consecrated in the bonds of holy matrimony, and wish them well on their new chapter together. It's going to be great.
Us too. We're super excited.
Yep.
Scott walked in to her life at the right moment, and he's just a delight. She was in our office and told us about Scott, and she's like, "I'll let you do your background check. You come back and let me know if there's anything there I need to know."
Well, I remember when she brought him up to tent when we were over at the Hope for Heroes event, and of course we shook hands and met and started cracking jokes, and within a minute, between him being a vet as well, and just the conversations we've had, it started, and it's like, man, this is like another brother. Glad to have him. So it's like I said, love him to death, and can't wait for the wedding.
I know, us too. Yep. We were flying to New Orleans that morning to attend the Global Security Exchange Conference, and so we moved our flight because Scott texted Matt to let us know about the wedding. So we moved our flight to fly out that night to make sure we're there. Yeah, we don't want to miss this one.
Nope, they got a couple of things happening that I'm not going to discuss. If she's disclosed it to you in private, that's cool. But there's a couple of things that's going to happen during the ceremony that just bring some tissues. You might there might be a little Iraqi sand in your eyes coming out, or there may be some ninjas nearby cutting onions.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Anything that Whitney has her hands in has a Whitney flair to it. So we would not expect anything less.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Awesome. So Todd, what have we not asked that you want the world to know about you?
I don't think there is anything else I would want them to know about me other than the fact that, lover of dad jokes and paternal witticisms, and just happy to help and love and support people. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, if you're a golfer out there, we have our golf outing coming up on October 9th at Bears Best up in Swanee, Georgia. You can find that at www.outercirclefoundation.org/events. There's information there on how to register to be a golfer or a golf team of 4. Or there's also information there on how to be a sponsor if you're a company out there looking to get behind a nonprofit that helps veterans and first responders with PTSD awareness, resources and treatment, suicide prevention programs, and career transition help. Be thinking about Outer Circle. We have a lot of programs. We have a lot of reach. And we make sure that no hero is left to fight alone. So, Todd, thank you so much. You'll be at our golf outing. You'll be at all these events coming up. And
I'm going to warn you now, you will be hearing me scream 4 a lot. So if you hear 4, just get ready to duck. But I've got my team and we're ready to go.
Okay.
It's all good.
It's noted.
It's all good. So thank you, everyone out there. And it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time on Chicken Dude Stuff.